Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. Alright, I got a little project to work on in the backyard today. This is actually in what's going to be the new planter area. I mean, I've kind of touched on it a little bit in the last video I did on the planter, but it turns out that when I was excavating around where all the sprinkler heads were, I actually ended up breaking one of the heads. I got to repair that because I want to get to the point where I can start running the sprinklers again. And right now I've had to turn that head off because otherwise water just gushes out of the plumbing and floods the whole area. So ultimately I'm going to have to redesign where all the plumbing is going in here. But for now I need to get it to the point where it works in its current configuration. So that's the project for today. So yeah, this is the area here where the problem happened. As you can see, this head is clearly disconnected from here. It broke off there. Now, one of the things I noticed that's a contributing factor to this is the PVC they used. This is 1/2-inch PVC, but there's two different varieties. There's kind of a low quality, low thickness called Schedule 80, which is what this is. And this stuff is really, really easy to break. And then there's the more heavy duty, more robust Schedule 40. And you can see the PVC itself is like twice as thick as that. And you know, I learned a while ago to kind of gravitate towards the Schedule 40 over the Schedule 80. First off, my dad always went with the Schedule 80 when he did all his stuff, and so I kind of learned from that. But also I had a personal bad experience with Schedule 80 plumbing once, about 10 years, maybe 15 years ago. I was up in the attic in my house in California trying to add another can light up in the ceiling. And when I was up there, I ended up kneeling on the plumbing for the fire sprinklers. And it was Schedule 80. And when I kneeled on it, it just crunched under my weight. And next thing I knew, I had like 3 or 4 gallons of water a minute pouring out of the ceiling on the top floor of the house. It took me like 3 or 4 minutes to actually get the fire water turned off so that I could actually clean up the damage, and ended up having to rip up all the carpet upstairs, and actually had water pouring through the floor from the second floor onto the first floor. So I had damage on the first floor of the house too. But anyway, ever since then, I've moved away from this Schedule 80 stuff, and I noticed there's a lot of it here. All these little pieces here, that's all Schedule 80, so they got to be really, really careful with that. But this piece that I'm going to replace here is going to be Schedule 40 all the way. So basically what I need to do is I need to cut off on this side of the T here and on this side of the T here, and I'm going to replace all of this. And so I went over to Home Depot, got all the bits and pieces I'm going to need to do that. But I got to get this cleaned up a little bit so I can get in there and saw everything out. So the first thing I need to do is cut out the piece that's going to be replaced. So like I said, the damage is right here on this little T valve. So I'm going to cut it off like right here. And then we're going to go all the way down here to about 1 inch from this side of the T, and we're going to cut it off there. I need that because I need to be able to flex the plumbing a little bit to get the two pieces to go together, because I'm going to have to bend it up a little bit in order to make it all fit together. So that's just kind of the issue you run into when you're trying to replace a piece of plumbing in the middle of a long line. I can either dig the whole thing up and rebuild it from the damaged area all the way back, or I can just try and do a patch, and the patch is going to be a lot easier, albeit a little bit more confusing during the process. So anyway, got to cut that out. I'm just going to use a jigsaw to do that, and we should make pretty quick work of that. Then all I got to do is just duplicate what I already have. So yeah, that piece came out real easy. In fact, a lot easier than I would have expected. The jigsaw went through that piece of 1-inch PVC like it was made out of butter. I got halfway through it and I said, oh man, I bet you they used Schedule 80 here too. And they did. Look at that. Look at the difference between those two pieces. Yeah, one of them is designed to last, one of them is designed to shatter if you look at it wrong. So yeah, I don't know, might at some point end up replacing the whole thing, but for now we're just going to replace this piece, and this should go together pretty quickly now. Okay, so now that I got the piece out of there, I kind of went onto both of the sides and cleaned up the part that I'm going to attach the fitting to, because if you don't have a good clean plastic there, it's never going to make a good seal, and you'll leak like crazy and it'll blow itself apart, and then you'll have a bigger problem, because I won't discover that until after we put the whole thing in there, and I'll have to tear the whole side of it apart to fix it again. So best to do it right the first time. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start working from this end, because I want to make the little offshoot that goes over to the sprinkler head, which goes into this trench, and then I want to tap onto that side, and then right here in the middle I'm going to put a union so I can kind of push it together and make the connection, because I think that'll be the easiest way to do this. Alright, this is the first part that I've created. This is basically everything here is new except for the sprinkler head. So all the PVC fittings, all the little runner pieces, the angles, the riser, everything is brand new, and I'm not going with this Schedule 80 garbage. We're going Schedule 40 all the way. So first thing I want to do now, I got this assembled. This piece is basically going to go right here, and the head will be back in there just like the original one was. This one's going to be a little bit higher up, because I want it to stick up a little bit, at least for now, so that when the time comes to reroute everything in there, we'll be able to get everything where it needs to go. But for now, let's put this thing in the ground, get it glued into place, and then all we got to do is make the connection from there to this piece. Okay, so there's the final product. Got it all back together. Once again, I connected it here with this union and connected in this piece here. This was the piece that broke. So I think that's looking pretty good. We're ready to go there. Ultimately, at some point, I'm going to probably take that piece and route it over here to this corner for a sprinkler head, and probably that piece and route it over into this corner for the sprinkler head or something. I don't know. Still got to figure that out. But now we can at least move forward knowing that everything is pretty much in shape. Like I said, I turned off the sprinklers, this particular sprinkler head, so that when I ran the sprinklers, we didn't end up flooding all over into the hole. Well, I still do not have that sprinkler system mastered, and I've noticed it going off on its own schedule just randomly. I still don't know why it does that, and I still don't know why when it did go off, it went off in this head, which I turned off. So I don't know, we got to do a little work on there. But part of the issue you also have to think about when you're hooking one of these things back up again or making a repair is what happens to anything that got in the plumbing. So you got little slivers of the PVC from when I cut it, and the fact that water poured out of this hole, out of the plumbing here, and pooled in this hole, and then kind of all washed back into the plumbing. That means there's a lot of like plastic debris and mud inside there, and if I don't flush that out before we put the heads on, it's going to get all plugged up in there. So it'll plug up the heads, and that'll cause a problem. So I know that this head here, and this head here are on what my system acknowledges as line 7. And so I've taken the head off of each one of them, and we're going to turn on the sprinkler a little bit just to let the water kind of bubble out of here and flush anything out before we put the heads back on. So I'm going to do that right now, and I don't know, that's going to be really exciting, so I'll probably have to show you that. Yeah, see, that's what we want. We're going to have a little bit of a lake in here, but that's okay. Like I said, it's really important to get everything flushed out of there. And so by doing this, you know, any of the PVC, any of the mud that's still in there, it's getting flushed out of there. And it'll take a little while for this to settle down, but I think we're pretty much ready here. So just turn this thing off, get the heads plugged back in again, and I think we're good to go. All right, that's looking pretty good. They're spraying pretty well, and that's a good thing. So I think we've pretty much concluded this project for today. So I'm going to wrap this one up by saying thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.